Reaching financial independence is not easy, and different individuals might be able to achieve it in different ways. But there is something we can learn from these individuals' journeys. In today's episode, we are joined by Rajeev Thakkar, Chief Investment Officer of PPFAS Mutual Fund, to understand from him how he has achieved financial independence, what worked for him, and what have been some of the lessons he has learned along the way. Hi, Rajeev. Welcome to our show.
Thank you.
So, Rajiv, to start off with, can you tell us what has helped you in becoming financially independent?
So when I look at my own journey and when I look at the experiences and journeys of friends, relatives, people I know, I think everyone has two objectives which in a way contradict each other. So when a individual starts working, maybe at the age of early 20s or mid 20s, one objective is to achieve financial independence in whatever way one defines financial independence. The other objective is what I would call lifestyle upgrade. So when you start off, you would be happy with a two-wheeler, let's say a fancy bike. Then you may want a air-conditioned car. Then you may want a sedan. You may want a SUV. You may want a German brand car. Now, which I call the lifestyle upgrade urge. As your income increases, as your disposable income increases, you want a better lifestyle, bigger home, and things like that. So I think reflecting back, uh, one thing that really helped me and helped a lot of people achieve financial independence was keeping the lifestyle upgrade urge somewhat contained and not let it run away too much, because then your target itself keeps moving and going up, which makes the task much more difficult. And the other aspect, of course, as we all know and intuitively understand, is the saving and investment angle, where you save a reasonable amount of your disposable income, invest it well, and then let passive income help you achieve financial independence.
What was your approach to borrowing in the early years of career?
My approach to borrowing has been very, very conservative, given the traditional aversion that Indian families culturally have towards borrowings. I have had very limited borrowings. So my spouse worked with a foreign bank at one point in time, and she was given an option of zero interest home loan. So she had a certain amount of borrowing for a home as an investment where we were not staying there. And obviously, that did well given that there was no interest payable on that home loan. And for my own primary residence, I took a very small amount of loan, which helped me uh, get that income tax deduction up to 1,50,000 rupees a year on self-occupied property and things like that. And even though I had the resources, I kept those that much money in investments, and it was purely from the point of view of taking tax breaks. So I have never had any rolling credit card debt or vehicle loan or anything like that. We have had uh, small amounts of borrowings for home loan, and even there, my preference has been towards fixed interest rate mortgages rather than floating interest rate, even though I had to pay a slightly higher interest amount uh, as compared to a floating interest rate.
What assets have you preferred to invest in and why?
So largely, given my background in investments and financial markets, uh, it's been equity heavy for the large part of my journey. Obviously, being salaried employees, our monthly provident fund deduction automatically goes largely into fixed income securities. The gratuity also is largely invested in fixed income securities by the employer, and the emergency money is in short term debt instruments. But apart from that, it's largely been equity heavy in terms of my journey.
And do you do regular sips?
So for a long time, I was a manager of equities in the portfolio management kind of structure. So in the early part of my career, I was a direct equity investor. So periodically, I would buy direct stocks in my demat account. I've been running SIPs from 2013 to uh, late 2020. It's very recently that I have had to stop SIPs for some upcoming asset purchase, but I hope to start my SIPs again. So SIPs have been there since 2013 in my journey.
Which instruments or assets did you choose to invest in when you were in your 20s and 30s?
So the earliest memories I have of investing is towards the end of the financial year. One would put money into a ELSS product and some money into a PPF account to take advantage of the tax breaks and some direct equity investments. Largely, it was these instruments uh, in the initial journey.
What have been some of the mistakes you have made and what have you learned from them?
I think being young and being relatively optimistic about life, I think one of the mistakes that I did was I did not have adequate emergency money. So at one point in time, I had to liquidate some amount of my long term investments to meet a short term need. So it was not a very substantial portion, and although the anxiety was much more than the actual financial impact, but the learning was that you should be a bit liberal in terms of uh, keeping some amount of liquidity even at the cost of some amount of returns, because things like medical emergencies and all come out of nowhere, and it's always better to have a little bit money extra in the liquid funds.
To conclude, what do you think it takes to become financially independent? Should you start really early? When did you make your first investment and in what?
So starting early obviously helps. The difficulty is that the at the early stage in life, the amount that you can save may not be very high, and the income may not be very high. So I'll probably give some counterintuitive advice. In the first 2 3 years of your career, or first 5 years of your career, don't focus too much on the salary that you are getting or how much you are able to save. Rather, seek out a job where the long term prospects are good, where you are enjoying the work that you are doing, and uh, where really the learning and the foundation building is good for the longer term. And obviously saving is important. Starting early is important, but as I mentioned earlier, the restriction in urge to upgrade your lifestyle helps in a great manner. Meaning, if you don't have that control on the lifestyle upgrade, then no amount of starting early, no amount of saving a lot of money will help, because your aspirations will keep running away.
And when did you make your first investment and in what?
So my career started when I was roughly 25 years of age, 23 years of age, sorry. And the first investments were in ELSS, PPF, and some direct equity shares.
Okay, thank you, Rajiv, for joining us today and sharing your insights on financial independence.
Pleasure being here.